Welcome to my channel. I am the lore father who drops the lores of topics galore. Anyways, let's move forward and discuss about the Battle of the Gurus Part 2. In the previous part, we discussed some basics about both the Gurus and how the rivalry essentially began. We also talked about how we need blessings of both the Gurus to have a fulfilling life. In this video, we will go into more detail and learn about some more significations of both the Gurus, their placements in the natal horoscope and how to handle their energies. Let's start with Venus. We discussed it in the last video that Shukra hated the Devas as he felt wronged by them when they made Jupiter as the Dev Guru, whereas Venus felt he was much superior than him. Thus, he sided with the Asuras and became their gurus instead, and made himself the prime enemy of the Devas. He even went against Vishnu himself when Narayan appeared in front of the mighty Asura king Mahabali in the Vaman avatar or as a dwarf. Vamana, the dwarf avatar of Vishnu, requests the Asura king Mahabali for 3 steps of land. Mahabali accepts this request and, as was the practice, took up the Kamandalu to pour water to symbolically signify the donation to Vamana. Shukra had realized Vamana's true identity. He tried to prevent the flow of water from the Kamandalu by blocking the spout. Vamana pierced the spout with a stick and blinded Shukra in one eye. This is also the reason why when Venus is afflicted in a chart, it could indicate eye diseases. We also talked in the last video about how Jupiter's son Kacha came to Venus as a student and how the Asuras managed to kill him only for Venus to revive him again and again. Alas, Asuras fed Kacha to Venus, resulting Venus to teach Kacha the Sanjeevani Vidya so that when he comes out tearing his stomach and killing him, Kacha can revive him. Shukra always tried to protect the Asuras, teach them ways to tackle Devas, and try to civilize them, but he got betrayed and harmed by them again and again in return. He even went against Narayan himself, tried out but couldn't convince the king Mahabali about the Maya of Narayan and got blinded in return. Narayan is luck himself, and going against him is futile, as even the mighty Kaurava Sena found out in the epic of Mahabharata. A Venusian person also faces this. He may have more than required material possession, but whenever he tries to help the masses, and they do represent the Asuras in the modern Kali Yuga context, humiliation and deceit is his reward more than often. His help is often considered patronizing and condescending, and people may hate him more instead of being generous. However, hate can be a powerful tool if used correctly. You can use it in your favor, particularly if you are a social media personality. Shukra is always a rebel, and when you see the planet Venus, it itself moves in the opposite direction compared to the rest of the planets. It is also the hottest and the brightest planet in the solar system due to presence of a strong, thick, poisonous atmosphere. This in turn helps Venus to absorb and trap most of the sun's harsh light, showcasing Shukra's desire to be seen and valued, being the brightest. In the Kali Yuga, it is exactly this rebelliousness of Venus and his prominent student Rahu that helps the individual to rise, as these traits are rewarded disproportionately by the world, especially in the world of social media. Remember, Asuras and Devas are both present in humans in varying proportions. Suras represent ignorance, cunningness, deceit, anger, and the 7 deadly sins from Christianity, if you will. But they also represent all the material possessions and the wants of a human as well. Whereas Devas indicate all positive qualities such as kindness, cleanliness, bonhomie, altruism, and the spiritual growth of an individual, and so on. In the Kali Yuga, while both qualities are essential, however, it is no denying that the Asura qualities have come out on top, and more the individual has that of an Asura's demeanor, the more likely he is to succeed in life, and this is where Venus comes into the picture. In the Roman mythology, Venus is a goddess whose functions encompass love, beauty, desire, sex, fertility, prosperity, and victory. It draws the same parallel in the Hindu mythology as well, Thus, we see a very feminine energy associated to Venus as well, and hence, when Venus is strong in a person's chart, then he gets all the pleasures aforementioned and respects women. Even it can be seen that very prominent Venus can lead to men employed in fields where they can sell women's clotheswear as well. The name Shukra also means Shukranu, literally meaning sperm, and someone with a strong Shukra has a fertile body, is attractive, and is the eye candy for all. Thus, one shouldn't damage his Shukra. Shukra is more important for a man than a woman, as since ancient times it is the man that was the breadwinner and responsible for all that material gains of a couple, and the woman literally represents the Shukra in his life, all the pleasure, romance, and the kind of partner, etc. Hence, a man must strengthen his Shukra as it controls every aspect that makes him a man. Let's move on to Jupiter. Jupiter or Brihaspati is the preceptor of gods. Jupiter is also the largest planet in the solar system. He is adored by the Devas as the Dev Guru, and Jupiter is an expert in all Shastras and in general is a very benefic planet in a person's chart, particularly the aspects of the Jupiter. Also, Jupiter tells a lot about the education an individual receives and as well as the progeny an individual is blessed with. Contrary to Venus, the Devas always support Jupiter, listen to his advices, and in turn hold him in an exalted position. In turn, Jupiter is always satisfied and remains in peace and doesn't face problems like Shukra does with the Asuras. But that's a problem. For instance, when Jupiter's wife Tara eloped with the moon god Chandra, Jupiter was quite angry on Chandra and demanded her back. Instead, Chandra retorted that how can such a young beautiful woman be with such an old man, and hence it angered Jupiter even further, and he warned Chandra of dire consequences. And many gods intervened, even Venus, being the prime enemy of Jupiter, guided Chandra to return back Tara, and finally she was returned. Eventually, she became pregnant and Jupiter doubted the paternity of the child, which turned out to be Chandra's, and hence the child was born and named as Mercury, the brother of Kacha earlier mentioned. Jupiter was always busy in his duty and he couldn't give her wife Tara sufficient time, and is also way too idealistic, naive, and quite orthodox, which actually, surprise, isn't the best way to handle marital relationships. And so the events above transpire. This is why it is said that Jupiter's aspects in a chart are good, as he helped the Devas and guided them, but the place where he sits is where he starts all the trouble. And he is also quite bulky. He drags down that house and he forces you to be unnaturally idealistic in that aspect. A Jupiterian person can be the most intelligent, skilled person in a group, and yet he would rather not take credits in a group project, be used as the workhorse in a company and be disposed of. And also in the matters of relationships, well, you know it already. Jupiter's nature is very similar to that of Yudhishthir from the Mahabharata, and how he, in the name of upholding dharma or righteousness, sacrificed everything and lost his wife, kingdom, respect from his brothers. Such naivety and innocence isn't just acceptable in this age of Kali Yuga. Jupiter can allow self-harm if it helps others, while this altruistic virtue definitely should be praised, yet in modern times it is just impractical when each man is in his for its own. A naive individual gets respect from all, but the crooks love him the most, and it is very easy to manipulate such individuals for their gains. But Jupiter has the blessings of the Narayan himself. He is also the luckiest of them all, as when Narayan is on your side, you are bound to win. A Jupiterian person is eventually bound to win despite his naivete and innocence, as Lord Narayan stands for himself. A strong Jupiter in the chart makes the individual quite intelligent in the Shastras, philosophy, and full of moral values. That makes him respected among all, contrary to that of Venus. And despite Venus being quote-unquote more street smart than Jupiter, oftentimes Jupiter surpasses him due to him being blessed as Dev Guru and due to his sheer luck. However, a weak or retrograded Jupiter can affect these qualities and make the individual struggle a lot, as he has to repeatedly learn the very same lessons again and again. If you look at the planet Jupiter, it is the biggest in the solar system and acts as a guardian alongside Mars to protect the Earth from the asteroids, that is Rahu, that may come towards the Earth. Jupiter also teaches an individual moral values, the difference between right and wrong and also helps in moments where one may think all is lost. Now we have learned about Venus and Jupiter. Let's compare. 1. Venus is much more practical compared to Jupiter. He would teach you the realities of the world and how to deal with them. Venus, despite being blind, can help you see through individuals which Jupiter lacks due to his pureness and innocence. But it is Jupiter that gives you the peace of mind. It literally is the Jivatma and represents your purest emotions. It tells you to be altruistic and it enhances your spiritual growth and grants you good morals. 2. Jupiter alongside with Mars is as important in a woman's chart as Venus does in a man's chart, because in the past a man was responsible for being learned, having a house, having the right moral values and having strength in his arms, and other masculine traits which are both denoted by Jupiter and Mars. Whereas the woman makes the house into a home, she is the Lakshmi, prosperity and all other Venusian qualities. She is the one who motivates the husband to win in the material world. 3. Venus should be prominent in a person's chart in the youth itself, where he conquers all the material aspects of life and then slowly gives that up to achieve the spiritual growth. That is the Jupiter's path. But imagine the vice versa, where a man lives like an ascetic throughout his youth and then suddenly desires for material gains in his old age. A disaster. 4th, just like Venus has Rahu as a student, Jupiter has Ketu as a student, with Rahu and Ketu being even more further apart in the spiritual and the material realm even compared to Jupiter and Venus. Thus, only a strong Ketu can balance a Rahu and vice versa. 5th, when Jupiter's or Venus dasha gets overlapped, then often the individual faces trouble despite both being strong in their chart because of the enmity between the gurus. Finally, we can see that how both the gurus are important in their own right and how balancing them is crucial to a prosperous and fulfilling life. Hope you like this video. Do like, share and subscribe for more of such content. Goodbye and have a nice day.